An off-Broadway theater is a professional venue in New York City with a seating capacity between 100 and 499. These theaters are smaller than Broadway theaters, but generally larger than off-Broadway theaters. An off-Broadway production is a production of a play, musical or revue that appears in such a venue and adheres to related trade union and other contracts. History. Originally referring to the location of a venue and its productions on a street intersecting Broadway in Manhattan's Theater District, the hub of the theater industry in New York. The term later became defined by the League of Off-Broadway Theaters and Producers as a professional venue in New York City with a seating capacity between 100 and 499, or a specific production that appears in such a venue, and which adheres to related trade union and other contracts. Previously, regardless of the size of the venue, a theater was not considered off-Broadway if it was within the Broadway box. The contractual definition changed this to encompass theaters meeting the standard, which is beneficial to these theaters because of the lower minimum required salary for actors. Equity performers at off-Broadway theaters as compared with the salary requirements of the union for Broadway theaters. Examples of off-Broadway theaters within the Broadway box are the Laura Pels Theatre and the Snapple Theatre Center. According to Bloom and Vlasnik, the off-Broadway movement started in the 1950s as a reaction to the perceived commercialism of Broadway, and provided an outlet for a new generation of creative artists. This fertile breeding ground, away from the pressures of commercial production and critical brickbats, helped give a leg up to hundreds of future Broadway greats. The first great off-Broadway musical was the 1954 revival of the Brecht-Weill Threepenny Opera. Many off-Broadway musicals have had subsequent runs on Broadway, including such successful musicals as Hair, Godspell, A Chorus Line, Little Shop of Horrors, Sunday in the Park with George Brent, Grey Gardens, Urinetown, Avenue Q, the 25th Annual Putnam County Speaking Bee, Rock of Ages, In the Heights, Spring Awakening, Next to Normal, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Fun Home and Hamilton. Plays that have moved from off-Broadway houses to Broadway include Doubt, I Am My Own Wife, Bridge and Tunnel, The Normal Heart and Coastal Disturbances. Other productions, such as Stomp, Blue Man Group, Altar Boys, Perfect Crime and Naked Boys Singing have run for several years off-Broadway. The Fantastics, the longest-running musical in theater history, spent its original 42-year run off-Broadway and began another long off-Broadway run in 2006. Awards. Off-Broadway shows, performers, and creative staff are eligible for the following awards: the New York Drama Critics Circle Award, the Outer Critics Circle Award, the Drama Desk Award, the Obie Award, the Lucille Lortel Award, and the Drama League Award. Although off-Broadway shows are not eligible for Tony Awards, an exception was made in 1956, when Lot Lenya won for Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical, for the off-Broadway production of the Threepenny Opera.